to, Tyler Perry, Divorced Sister. So, baby, I tell we got episode 5, y'all, and I said the ending of this was epic, baby. But let's get down into it. Let's start off where we left off at. So we are at the jailhouse where we got Geneva, Tiffany, and Giovanni. So they are at the courthouse. She look Geneva's a little bit upset, because they over there getting to know each other a little bit better, and she feeling a little annoyed. And they've been there all night. So Giovanni said, I'm gonna go check on to see what's going on. So as he went to go check to see what's going on with Naomi and whatever, Tiffany said, hey girl, so what is it with him? Like, she was asking a little bit of questions, like, is he married? When he was married, how long he been married, things like that. She also asked, Geneva, he was married about 8 years, something like that. And she went, how was the wife? She went, the wife, she was good, she was cool. She went, but you need to ask him them questions. She went, so why did it end it and whatever? She went, I just found out about that just recently that they got divorced, but you got to ask him the question. She went, so what's really going on with him? She went, you have to ask him that. She kept going around and around the question. Tiffany feeling like, oh my God, he's so fine. Oh, he's so fine. And she really getting annoyed at this point at her and everything. I said, girl, what you getting annoyed at? You got a man. You got you a whole man at home, a whole man, and you think he cheating. But I don't know if her husband cheating on her. I don't really think he is, but who knows? You never know. But she feeling a certain way about it. Tiffany just asking questions and stuff like that. She said, maybe I ask Rashida. She went, Rashida don't know nothing. She knows something because it's the way she looks at him. It tells me she knows a lot. She she don't know anything about what's going on with him. She went, okay. She went, I'll leave it alone for now, or whatever. So Giovanni ended up coming back and telling us that Naomi is she getting released and stuff. So as Naomi, also it was one more thing. Tiffany also asked, should she call Rashida and see what's going on with the other girl, or whatever with the white girl and stuff. Right now it's a little bit too early because they ain't heard nothing from her or anything. But that was one on there. So we get back to Naomi. So Naomi ended up coming out. After that, she was all hurt and distressed. She's not drunk no more. She done sobered up. She feel like my dress got they ripped my dress. She went, I'm just over this. I'm just over this. So they comforting her, trying to get her up out of up out of there. And everything as they did that. We move on to what was the next part? Move on past them. Okay, Tiffany, blah blah blah. Okay, there was one more thing I did forget. So Bridget ended up calling during that whole commotion to check on it and see what's going on because it's the next day. And Bridget said she haven't heard anything from Rashida and stuff like that. And they said, we're gonna meet up at Naomi's house. So you just meet us there. So, after that went off, they got Naomi together. So we got Bridget. So Bridget is at home. And so she at home, in her bedroom, just gapping this off the phone. And you got her no good man name. They finally said his name, Vincent. I've been thinking it's Bud or something for the last couple episodes because she never said the name really clearly, but she said it clearly today. Vincent. So Vince is laying in the bed and she said, oh my gosh. When she looked at him. So he said, what was that? She went, oh, I thought you was asleep. And so, they got a little back and forth. She said, you need to be getting up and finding you a job. He went, I don't feel like getting a job. He went, that's lame. That's lame. He went, what I was trying to do is trying to put myself out there, launch myself. She went, well, you can do that and also get a job too. I said, well, he can. But I said, you got a no good who don't want nothing in life. He really don't. But they have a little back and forth and stuff like that, and to the point where she said, you can even swing, you might as well go home. You might as well go back to your mom. He went, you sound like my mama saying I need to get a job and stuff like that. and stuff. She went, well, you can also go back home to your mama. When that's what you want. She went, yeah. She really wanted to say that, but he made it like, oh, this is a mental thing, these jobs be stressing me out. And it was like, yeah, girl, why is you with him? Why? I'm trying to figure this out so bad, girl, because you still with this man. But she didn't get fed up and left up out of the room. And she went to answer the door. And it's what's his name? Kevin? Calvin. It's Calvin. So Calvin is at the door, the man he used to work for and stuff. So Calvin said, he got my keys. I'm not trying to break into my own spot, my place of business, I came over here to get my keys. And if he don't give me the keys, I'm gonna have to get a locksmith and all that stuff. So he said, okay, I'm gonna go up here and see what's going on. So I said, he didn't pass out and everything. I said, you would sleep very quickly after you just got in a fight with your girl. Okay. Well, she woke him up. She went like, he went, Calvin is downstairs. Calvin needs keys. He went, what keys? I ain't got no keys. She went, that's what he said. I don't got no keys. I said, okay. So she went back downstairs and told him. He said he ain't got no keys. He said he got the keys. He do. He went, you need it. Why are you still messing with him? Why? That's a child. You need a man. I said, well, I said, just because she need a man, you may be a so-called man, don't mean you not on the same bull he on. That don't mean nothing because you got a job, you got a place. Don't mean nothing. But she said, you don't got to come here and tell me my do's and don'ts of what I deserve and stuff. So he went, you right, you right. He went, so can I talk to him? She went, go ahead. So they ended up talking. Okay, they ended up going. So they go up there to the room. She goes, they're trying Vaughn. Woke him up again. At this point, she went, well, he wants to know, what is he doing up in here? What is he doing up in here? He in my house. I said, wait a minute, this ain't even your house. This hers. You don't pay no rent here. So, that didn't cause Calvin to, feel a little stuff about himself, like, what house you talking about? So they ended up doing a little 1-2 with each other, a little tussle, where Calvin, she tried to stop. Bridget said, stop, y'all, stop. She tried to break it up. And they ended up knocking her down to the ground. So, at that point, Calvin was doing a little 1-2, but he wasn't really fighting him. But Vaughn got the best of him and all that. She had to stop him from almost really hurting this man. And so he ended up walking away, mad and stuff. And Calvin was mad too. So that's where that end on that situation with them. So we move on past, then we get into Calvin. Okay, we move on to Jeff. So it's the next day. Jeff is at home, he in the bedroom. I said, Rashida ain't even there. So the oldest son, his name Levy, they finally said his name. So he comes in the room asking his dad, he went, can I get some money? His dad went, wait a minute, hold up. He said, what time is it? He went, say it again. Please, can I have some money? He went, also, what time is it? It was about 7-ish in the morning. He went, so what do you say in the morning to me? Good morning. He went, good morning. He went, well, I ain't got no money for you. Well, you got an allowance. He said, I ain't got no money right now. He went, where your mama? He went, I don't know where she at. That's your wife. When also that's my wife. So when you find your mama, you ask her for some money. Good day. I said, Dad. I said, you just rule all the way around like you don't care for nobody but yourself. But I said, we move on past the ish. Jeff ended up getting on the phone with his right hand man and having a little 1-2 talking about Naomi. Talking about Naomi, saying that Naomi should be lucky that she's not being sued. I said, well, yeah, he said, well, I'm gonna go to the gym first and then I'm gonna head to the church. I said, ooh, okay. Let's move on past that. So it's like you doing everything else except find your wife. I said, okay, we're gonna keep moving. So we move on past Jeff and his right hand, and we move on to okay, so we at Naomi house and they we at Naomi house with Giovanni, Naomi, Tiffany, and Geneva. So they all there. They get her in the house. You got Geneva standing, baby. I said, y'all, I do this all the time. Let me see. I always do this. I hate when I do this. I'm so caught up in making sure I stay on track. So we got this. Here we go. So they outside Geneva house. And Geneva, Naomi house, I mean. So, Giovanni talks to Tiffany and asks Tiffany, would you like to go on a date later on a day? Later on the night. And she went, yes, But it was Giovanni in the background. I said, girl, why is you standing there? Go yourself in the house. I said, girl, you got a man. You don't even want this man. You told him you was good. But you are. But we know the game he pulling. He trying to make sure that he playing along, trying to make her jealous and whatever and stuff. And she said that she went, Tiffany, come on, I need your help. She went, girl, why? She went, what? He can come in for a minute while he wait for his car and stuff. She went, no, he can't. I said, girl. So, he go wait for his car. They in the inside and stuff. And we move on to the next thing. And that's with Naomi. So Naomi is pissed off. She mad at the world. Bridget ended up showing up. Bridget said, what's Giovanni doing outside there when he waiting on his car to pick him up. So at that point, we get into Naomi. Naomi pissed off. She telling the story of, how this man have Frederick have done her and all this stuff, everything last night, going back and forth. I said, girl, I said, yeah, we get it. We there for you. We feel sorry. But I said, yeah, he taunted me and everything. That's why I had to throw that coffee on that girl. I said, he told me that this girl was his friend, and I believed it. But turned out it wasn't. I said, yeah, you got played. You got played, but I said, girl, you can go to church. So she's so mad to the point where she ended up calling out Jeff, the pastor, and stuff like that. And how she felt about him. She said, I was telling the truth about him. And then, Bridget want to speak up, said, you was just, no, you was just wrong. That was so wrong. So she went, oh, you just mad. She went, oh girl, she went, you ain't never been married and you ain't never had a man check on you. I said, damn. But I said, she do got a man checking on her. It's Calvin, but she too locked up in this young dude to see it. But at that point, Giovanni and Tiffany stepped in and try to get her to get off that topic, and she ended up apologizing to Bridget and tell Bridget, I'm sorry, I'm not mad at you. I'm mad at the man upstairs, for all of this. And she apologized again to Bridget. Bridget went, I'm ready to. She went, I'm late for work. And stuff. And I'm like, so at this point, Naomi said, I'm gonna sue him. They were, girl, you can't, girl, you can't be doing that. You can't, no. So Tiffany said, girl, you need to tell her the real truth. Stop babying her. So they end up telling her. So Giovanni ended up telling her, girl, what you did is a crime. It could be a criminal crime, and you need to get a really good defense lawyer to defend you. So don't do anything, and I mean anything, because we'll be back later today. Promise me that. I ain't going nowhere. I said, girl, this girl's up to something. I said she gonna get herself caught up in some more stuff, messing with her own self and drinking and stuff like that. So we move on past there. We move on to let's see, what's the next part? So okay, as they leave the house and stuff ever, they ended up chit chatting. Tiffany ended up getting a text from Javon. Giovanni. Get a text from him. He can't wait for tonight to see her and stuff. And Geneva went, you really gonna go on a date with him? She went, yeah, I am. I am. And I said the girl was mad as hell. So she told this woman, when everybody they get ready to go, she said, well, you can catch a ride with Bridget. Because Bridget, she's going by the church and your car is at the church. And so you can get a ride with her because she went, but you driving right past it. On your way home. Well, I gotta go home, get refreshed, and get ready for the day. I said, girl, you a mess. I said, you petty, girl, you petty. I said, you mad at her, and she been asking you nonstop about this man. What's the real tea? And you said you don't want to tell it. You don't want to tell it, but that's what it's gonna be. So let's move on past that. Let's get into the next one we got up, and that oh god. So we got Miss Naomi girl up here. Oh shoot! It actually that wasn't the scene before. I can't stand this thing. It moved one scene out of here. Okay, before this scene, it's something. It didn't get it. I didn't get the picture, but there's a couple scenes that went out. So we got William at home before this scene comes up. William is at home. He got to get the daughter together because Giovanni she said, I'm on my way home. I'm running a little late. So she's setting this all up for later on where I'm going to tell you about it. So, he gets the baby ready and everything else. That's what happened. Then he get a call from Javon. Get a call from him. Asked him about the night before with Tiffany and everything. He was on a run, out there and stuff. And he told him he gonna take her out to dinner later on today and stuff like that. And then asked him if he can come into church on Sunday. And he was like, oh, is Naomi gonna be there? William said no, she don't go to our church. He said, well, okay, he went, I'll come. So that's what happened with William at home. Then there was another scene. I hate this thing. I don't know why the picture didn't add in there, but it's another scene with Bridget. So it's Bridget and Tiffany. Bridget and Tiff on their way. She taking her to get her car, and so they have a little conversation about what happened at the banquet and all that stuff, and then they get into Bridget's situation. And Bridget said, I think this relationship is not gonna last for me and Vaughn, because Vaughn and Calvin got into it. They got into a big old fight. I got knocked down, and and whatever. And Tiffany said, "Oh, Tiffany went, I'm surprised that Calvin didn't hurt him." She said, "What? What you mean?" She said, "You don't know. You don't know that he's a professional. He's a professional boxer." She said, "For real? For real? Damn." For real? Shane, yeah, you're gonna have to really check on him. Shane, yeah, I'm gonna do that. But I sent Vaughn to his mama. She went, girl, did you know what you just said? You know how that's Shane, yeah, girl, just forget it. Just forget it. Just forget it. I know I just heard myself too. Shane, yeah, but that's your choice. You do what you want. Shane, yeah, I know. I had to make up my mind what I'm gonna do. I said, girl, lose him. He ain't got no job. He ain't got nothing. He can't give you nothing. You paying bills. Oh, so moving on past that. Okay, that was that. Okay, so now this picture. Now we get into Naomi. So Naomi is at home. So she done got all dressed, all seductive for the homeboy. If you remember that she on a I want to say the first episode. Way back that she called over, she called him up so that she can set up something that she need done. She said, "What can you do for me?" He said, "I can do anything you want." She, she went, "Well, I'm having a rough morning. I don't got time for the riddles. I need to know exactly what you can do." He went, "Anything you want me to do." So I need you over here in 20 minutes. He said, "I can be there in an hour." She went, "I need you here in 20 minutes." He went, "Well, what you want done?" And seemed like we can't talk on the phone. So she went, "Get here in 20 minutes." He like, "I'll be there in an hour." I said, "Good. You got trouble, boy. You got trouble." I said, "Huh, that's more your type, but you finna mess things all the way up." So we move on past her. We get into Geneva. So Geneva finally made it home, looking a hot mess. Husband trying to get her to eat. She's like, "I don't feel hungry," or whatever, because he still got to take the baby to school and stuff like that. So, little session with them, it wasn't that major. So we move on past them. We get into Jeff. So Jeff and daughter, is it Kelly? Yeah, Kelly. Kelly. So Kelly come down the steps. Kelly went there. He went, "What?" She went, "Where's mom?" He went, "I don't know where she's at. She got up. Maybe she had got up early and stuff." She went, "You're lying." She went, "I know when you're lying because you always tell half the truth. And just what you did a few minutes ago, that's what you did. I'm your child. I know this." I said she acted like her daddy, 100%. So they go have a little back and forth. She wanted to know if they're gonna get if their parents gonna get divorced. He said, "What make you think that?" She went, it just everybody going around people getting divorced. He said, "No, that's not happening. Me and your mom, we are very happy, and I need you to go upstairs, get your book bag, and go to school." She went, "But that ain't what I asked you." He went, "That's the answer I'm giving you." And this man went back to his office. I said, she went, she also asked where mom at. He went, "I don't know." I said, "You ain't checked on your wife this whole entire time. You ain't even called nothing." I said, "This man is a mess. A whole mess." So let's move on past that. Let's get into so we got Miss Naomi. So Naomi meet up with dude. I still don't know dude. They still ain't said this man name yet. But he finally show up an hour late. They get into a little conversation. She said she got robbed. He said, "Wow, what happened here?" She went, "I got robbed." He went, "So who?" She ended up telling him she said a robbery. She said, it was my ex. He went through the court system, and this is where I'm at. So I need to know if you can, how to remove a person from the planet. He said, "Yeah, that's light work." I said, "Ooh." She went, "Well, okay, good no, good no." So then she asked him, she went, "So I need you to strip." He went, "What? What do you talk about?" She went, "No, I ain't talking about the situation we just talked about. I'm talking about my needs. I need you out of your clothes and meet me in the bedroom immediately." I said, "Girl, you gonna get yourself caught up in something that you gonna end up in prison for life for something you about to do." But I hope she don't go through with it. But we'll see how Mr. Tyler Perry got this planned out. So let's get into the next thing we got up, and that is the kids ended up leaving. They leave the house. They doing a little back and forth chit chatter, arguing, and they see their mama in the car. They went, "Wait a minute, mom." So they said, "What's wrong?" She ain't nothing. I just needed a moment. They said, "But that's the same dress you was in last night." She I just needed a moment. Are y'all should be getting ready to go to school. Yeah, we waiting on the bus to come. Okay. This is when what's his name? Lays. The son Lays my mom. I need some money. I said, "Wait a minute. Your mama is in distress. She got on the same outfit. She looked like she done been through some stuff." You asking for some money. She said, "Legs, please. Legs, please." She went, "Go to school." He went, "Just forget about it." The daughter started asking questions. The mom said, "Go to school. There go the bus. Bye. Go. Go." So they ended up leaving. Then we move on past that. We get into this part right here. So Miss Geneva follows the husband to their child's school when he dropped the kids off, dropped their daughter off, and he actually chit chatted with some lady. He gave her a flower and everything, and so while she's doing all this, she posted, I think, still got on the same outfit from the banquet. She supposed to be going to take a bath. So she get a call from Javon, and he called her and stuff. They have a little 1-2 where he said, "What do you want me to do?" He said, "Do you want me not going to go on a date with her?" He went, "Trey, you can do whatever you want, whenever you want. Just do what you want." He went, "What you?" I'm not gonna stop you. I'm not gonna tell you what to do. And at that point, she said, "I gotta go." Hung up on him. When the husband hugged the teacher, she was pissed. I said, "Girl, you got what you wanted." I said, "But you cheated on your husband 6 years ago. If he cheating on you now, girl, it's fair game." That's just how I look at it from what it is and how you acting towards a man that you're not, that came back in the picture and that you are not with. Yeah, yeah, you can't be that. You shouldn't be that man. But let's move on past that. So let's get into the next word. Now, baby. So Jeff finally brings himself up out the house as he did everything else in the world, and he realized Rashida was in the car. He went, "Bang, bang, Rashida, Rashida, what's going on?" She was, "You didn't open the door. You did not open the door last night." He went, "What?" He went, "That's childish. You acting childish." I said, "Dang, childish." I said, "Girl, if you don't get this together." You acting childish. I don't understand this. I don't understand this. I don't understand it. The button is right here. This electric car. When he said this was a electric car and the button right here, it don't open from the outside. You press this button and it open from the inside. I said, you just got in the car with the key to open the door. I said, that can make sense. So he ended up getting out the car. I said, I'm opening the door now. Open the door now. So this man goes all the way around to the other side. Here we go. He goes all the way around to the other side of the car to open the door. And she said, "It's not about the door. It is not about the door. It's about our whole entire relationship, the marriage, everything." He looking around as she got louder and louder. You so worried and concerned about what everybody else think, but you're not concerned about what I'm trying to tell you right now. I said, "Baby, speak to it. Speak on it, girl. Speak on it." He went, "But, babe, I see you." You don't see me. You're not concerned about nothing. You're not concerned about me. You don't care for me. You don't like me. Anything. I said, "Well, he's been showing that nonstop. He's been showing that, girl." So as she telling how she feel emotionally and what she feel about how this whole marriage is, this man phone rang, y'all. Now let's get into it before we get up. I said, "Baby, that phone ring, baby." She went, "Oh, oh, oh." He went, "What? He going in the pocket?" I said, "Not you going in the pocket. He pulling the phone out." She ain't gone ahead. You ain't concerned about how I'm feeling and what I got on my mind. This man pulled the phone out. He went, "Baby, but I got it. She grabbed the phone, pressed dial, and this person said, what did everybody say? Hold on. What did he say? Grab the phone. It said, "Are you in the car, babe?" I said, "Damn." I said, "That's the right hand man." I said, "That is the right hand man himself." I said, "That's him all the way, baby. That's him. I see him." I said, "That voice." I'm like, "Oh, that's the right hand man." He said, "Baby, are you in the car? Can you talk? Can you?" He went, "Can you talk?" And then Jeff had the audacity to say no. I said, "Jeff," and the look on her own Rashida's face said it all. She was like, "Oh, did he just say no?" I said, "Girl, You better take him for everything he owns. And then on top of that, it was another thing I did forget. The daughter said if the parents do get divorced, she going with the daddy. I said I'll let her go. Daddy ain't gonna have nothing. I said, baby, no this. I said, oh my Lord. And it was also another picture I had up here that didn't show up when I did this preparing. So it's the bus that was picking up the kids ain't have no kids on it. I said, Tyler, why is there an empty bus riding past? You should have had some people on the bus. Because I didn't even see the kids get on. They wasn't even on the bus. But I said that's what happened on this episode of Tyler Perry Divorce Sisters, episode 5. I said, baby, I said the next episode gonna be fire. Cause baby, I hope she divorced him. I really do. Because I said to get a call, and then this man said, you in a car yet? Babe, is you in a car? And then turn around, said, can you speak? And then Jeff actually uttered the words, no. I said, Jeff, you the best. You need your tail whooped. you, you bald. You is a bald person. But that's all I got for y'all. Let me see what's going on in the chats real quick. What are we doing up, A? Hey, LJ Alex. Hey, what's up? I said just talking about Divorce Sisters, episode 5. I said in this mess of a mess that they got me going through. They crazy. They are crazy. If you ain't checked it out, check it out. It's on BET Plus. Oh man, but that's all I got for y'all. Thank y'all for tuning in. Like, share, subscribe, and join the channel. It's your boy Paul. Good night, y'all.